The alarm of the station echoed like a heartbeat of fear across the steel corridors. Red lights flashed in warning as people rushed in every direction. Soldiers grabbed weapons, engineers secured systems, and civilians tried to hide. Among them stood a young human soldier, steady and unshaken, even as chaos grew louder around him. He was trained for combat, but nothing could have prepared him for what was about to happen that day. Far beyond the walls of the station, enemy ships moved in tight formation. Their weapons glowed like burning suns, waiting for the command to fire. The war had begun quickly, too quickly for humanity to plan. The first blasts had already torn apart outposts and patrol fleets. Now the enemy was moving closer to the central hub, where survivors had gathered. It was no longer about strategy, it was about survival. Through the noise of soldiers shouting orders, his eyes fell upon something unusual. At the far end of the corridor, escorted by 2 guards, walked a girl who was not human. She was tall, her presence commanding but graceful, with bright eyes that glimmered like twin stars. Her armor was light but strong, marked with alien patterns that shimmered faintly. Her face carried both strength and sorrow, and though she was surrounded by humans, she seemed like a flame in a storm, something precious, something different. Rumors had spread quickly through the ranks. The girl was from a distant world, one of the few alien leaders who had chosen to stand with humans instead of against them. Many did not trust her, whispering that she was a spy or a danger, but others believed she was a symbol of hope, a sign that even in this brutal war alliances could still be forged. The young soldier could not take his eyes off her. He had never seen anyone like her, and something in her expression told him she carried a burden as heavy as his own. Suddenly the lights cut out. The sound of the alarm vanished, replaced by silence that was more terrifying than noise. Everyone froze. Then, without warning, the wall to the left exploded in a flash of white fire. Smoke poured in as enemy troopers stormed through the breach, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. Screams filled the corridor. Bullets and beams of light tore through the air. The soldier's instincts took control. He raised his rifle and fired, striking the first of the invaders. Sparks flew as enemies advanced, their shadows stretching in the red haze of emergency lights. He shouted for civilians to get down, for soldiers to regroup, but it was too late. The enemy was everywhere. Then he saw it happen. One of the enemy raised a weapon, aimed directly at the alien girl. She stood exposed, her guards thrown to the ground by the blast of the explosion. She was alone, her eyes wide but unflinching. The soldier did not think. He did not weigh the risks or calculate the odds. His body moved before his mind could catch up. He sprinted forward, pushing through smoke and chaos. He reached her just as the enemy pulled the trigger. The bright flash lit the corridor like a second sun. In that moment, he wrapped his arms around her and turned his back to the blast. Pain shot through his body, hot and burning, as the bullet tore into him. His knees buckled, but he held on. He would not let her fall. The world blurred around him, the sound of battle fading into a low hum. He could feel the weight of her in his arms, steady and alive. Her breath was fast, but she was safe. His own strength slipped away, yet he knew he had done what needed to be done. Somewhere deep inside, a thought burned brighter than the pain, that this act, this choice, would change everything. The alien girl's eyes locked with his, filled with shock and something else, something unspoken. For the first time, he realized she was not just another figure in the war. She was someone who mattered. And though his vision dimmed, though the fight raged on around them, he felt a strange calm, because in that moment, he understood. Saving her was worth it. The corridor was filled with smoke and fire, but the soldier's body shielded the alien girl from the worst of it. His uniform was scorched, his back seared by the energy shot that had torn through him. He gasped for breath, his chest heavy, yet he refused to collapse. His grip around her stayed firm, holding her as if the world itself might shatter if he let go. Her voice broke through the chaos, calm yet trembling. Stay with me." The words carried an unusual melody, almost too soft to be heard above the gunfire. For a moment it felt as though the battle around them had paused, as if the universe waited for his response. But his strength was fading fast and his eyes blurred as pain clawed at his body. Then reinforcements arrived. Human soldiers pushed through the breach with a storm of gunfire, driving the invaders back. Shouts echoed, commands barked, enemies, falling one after another until the corridor was reclaimed. Medics rushed forward, dragging stretchers and supplies, scanning for the wounded. When they reached the soldier, they froze. He was still standing, barely, but blood stained his jacket, spreading across the fabric like dark fire. The alien girl clutched him tightly, her golden eyes glowing with emotion that she struggled to hide. She lowered him carefully to the ground, her armored hands surprisingly gentle. The medics moved quickly, tearing open kits and preparing to stabilize him. But she did not step aside. She pressed her hands over his wound, her touch warmer than expected, as if her body carried a different kind of energy. "His pulse is weak," one medic shouted. "We need to move him to the medical bay now." "No," the girl said firmly, her voice carrying authority. "He saved me. I will not let him be taken without my guard." The humans glanced at each other but did not argue. Even in the chaos of war, her presence commanded respect. As they carried him through the flickering corridors, the soldier drifted in and out of consciousness. His vision swam between reality and haze. He remembered fragments. The girl's face, leaning close to his. The hum of alien symbols glowing faintly on her armor. The way her hand never left his even when the medics tried to pull her back. Every detail burned into his fading awareness, stronger than the pain itself. In the medical bay, machines whirred to life. Lights scanned over his body as the medics worked, sealing burns, injecting stabilizers, repairing tissue with advanced tech, yet it was not enough. His body trembled, his heart struggling. The lead medic cursed under his breath. "We're losing him." It was then that the alien girl stepped forward. She removed a small crystal device from a hidden pocket in her armor. Its glow was unlike anything the humans had seen before, blue, sharp, and pulsing like a living star. She held it over his chest, her lips moving in a quiet language no one understood. The room grew colder, then warmer, the light spreading until it wrapped his entire body. The medics watched in stunned silence. The soldier gasped suddenly, his body arching as the crystal's energy sank into him. His heartbeat steadied, stronger than before, his breathing no longer ragged. The machines around him stabilized, their alarms fading one by one. When the glow finally dimmed, the girl's shoulders slumped. She looked weaker, drained, but her eyes were steady as they turned to the humans. "He will live," she said softly. The medics exchanged glances, unsure what had just happened. None of their equipment had readings for the crystal's energy, but the results were undeniable. The soldier was alive, his body recovering faster than human medicine could explain. The girl had given something of herself, something priceless. When the soldier's eyes fluttered open, he found her still holding his hand. She leaned close, her voice low so only he could hear. "You risked your life for me. Now, a part of my life belongs to you." He wanted to speak, to ask what she meant, but exhaustion pulled him back into sleep. Yet the words stayed in his mind, etched deep into his very soul. A bond had been formed in blood and fire, one that neither human nor alien could easily break, and outside the medical bay the war still raged. The station's medical bay was quieter than the battlefield outside, but the silence carried its own weight. Monitors beeped steadily, machines hummed, and the faint smell of antiseptic lingered in the air. The soldier lay on a narrow bed, wrapped in bandages, his breathing slow but even. His body ached with every small movement, yet it was pain mixed with relief. He was alive. When his eyes opened again, the first thing he saw was her. The alien girl sat beside him, still in her armored gear. Suit, though parts of it were scorched from the explosion. Her golden eyes caught the sterile light of the bay, glowing softly as she studied him. She had not moved from his side since he collapsed. "You are awake," she said simply. Her voice, calm and melodic, carried a warmth that cut through the cold air of the room. He tried to sit up, but she placed a hand gently against his chest, keeping him still. "Do not push yourself. The wound was deep. It will take time to heal, even with what I gave you." He remembered faintly the glowing crystal, the strange warmth that had spread through him, and the way her energy had filled his failing body. It wasn't a dream. It had been real. What did you do to me?" he asked weakly. Her eyes flickered with hesitation before she answered. "I shared my life force with you. A bond formed between us when you chose to protect me. Now if your strength fades, mine will guide it back. It is not something I give lightly." He stared at her, stunned. She had risked her own life for him, after he had done the same for her. There was no doubt now that something greater connected them, something beyond orders, beyond war. Outside the bay's doors, voices rose. Officers debated loudly, their words sharp and full of distrust. "She's dangerous," one barked. "We don't know what she's done to him." Another voice countered. "She saved him when our tech couldn't. You saw it yourself." The argument grew heated, echoing down the corridor. The alien girl's gaze shifted to the door, her expression unreadable. She knew the humans feared her. Even after fighting alongside them, suspicion lingered. She leaned closer to the soldier, her voice lower. "Your people will not trust me. They will say I tampered with you, that I changed you. You must be careful." The soldier's lips curved into a faint smile despite his weakness. "Let them say what they want. I know the truth." For a moment, silence stretched between them, filled only by the hum of the machines. Then she lowered her eyes, her tone softer. "Why did you do it? Why risk your life for mine when you did not even know me?" He searched for the words, but they came easily. "Because it was the right thing. I couldn't just stand by and watch them take you. You didn't deserve to die in that corridor." Her hand tightened slightly around his. She had seen countless warriors, countless sacrifices in this war, but never one so direct, so selfless. In her culture, acts of protection carried deep meaning, far beyond what most humans could understand. To her, his choice was more than bravery. It was a vow. Before she could speak again, the alarms blared once more. The battle had not ended. The enemy was pressing harder. Soldiers ran past the medical bay doors, their shouts urgent, their footsteps echoing. The war was still outside, waiting for both of them. The medic entered quickly, checking the soldier's vitals. "He shouldn't move, not yet, but we may not have a choice. We're losing ground. We'll need every fighter." The soldier tried to rise, but pain shot through his body, forcing him back down. The girl stood, her posture straight and commanding. "If he cannot fight, then I will," she said. Her voice was sharp now, carrying the tone of a leader. "I owe him that much." The medic hesitated, clearly uneasy, but nodded reluctantly. "If you're going out there, don't get yourself killed. We can't afford to lose either of you." She turned back to the soldier one last time. Her expression softened, but her words were resolute. "Rest. You gave me your courage. Now I will use it." And with that, she stepped out of the medical bay, her armor gleaming faintly under the flashing red lights. The soldier watched her go, torn between pride and fear. He knew the battle outside was deadly, but deep down, he believed she would come back, not just because she was strong, but because now their lives were tied together. The corridor outside the medical bay shook as enemy fire rattled the station's hull. Sparks rained from broken panels, and the air vibrated with the thunder of distant explosions. Soldiers rushed past with grim faces, weapons ready, each step heavy with the knowledge that the next breach could end them all. The alien girl moved among them like a shadow of flame, her golden eyes sharp, her armored frame radiating quiet strength. The human soldier had saved her life, and now she intended to repay that debt in the only way she knew, by fighting. She reached the command post, where holograms of the battle flickered in chaotic patterns. Human officers glanced at her with suspicion, but none dared to stop her. They had seen what she could do in the corridor when the soldier nearly died. Some called it sorcery, others called it alien science, but all agreed she was no ordinary ally. The commander's voice was strained. "We're losing ground at Section 4. Reinforcements are thin. If they breach the reactor bay, it's over." The girl stepped forward. "Then I will hold Section 4. Give me your strongest team." A murmur of protest rippled through the officers. "We can't trust her," one hissed. "She could lead them straight in." But the commander's eyes narrowed. "She just saved one of our best soldiers when none of our tech could. Unless you'd prefer to die waiting, she goes." His tone ended the argument. He turned to her. "Prove that your loyalty is real." She bowed her head once. "You will. Have proof." Minutes later, she stood at the front lines. Smoke clung to the air, and the glow of enemy weapons pulsed from the shadows ahead. The human squad behind her watched nervously, hands tight on their rifles. They had been told to follow her lead, but trust was not something easily given. The enemy broke through with a roar of fire. Troopers in black armor surged forward, weapons spitting light. The humans opened fire, the hallway filling with thunder and sparks. But it was the alien girl who moved first. She dashed ahead faster than their eyes could track. Her blade, forged from a strange alloy that shimmered with energy, cut through the first wave like lightning. Sparks burst with every strike, enemies falling before they could even register her movement. She moved with precision, her armor glowing faintly with symbols that flared brighter with each swing. The soldiers behind her froze for a heartbeat, stunned by the sheer speed and power she displayed. Then, driven by her presence, they surged forward, fighting harder than before. One enemy trooper tried to flank them, raising a weapon toward the humans at the rear. The girl spun, her tail sweeping low, knocking him off balance before her blade struck true. Another blast came from above, but she raised her arm and the strange crystal embedded in her armor pulsed, creating a shield of light that absorbed the shot. The human squad cheered, their fear dissolving into awe. She was more than a warrior. She was a force. And for the first time since the battle began, hope flickered in their hearts. Back in the medical bay, the soldier stirred. Alarms had dragged him from uneasy sleep, and despite the pain, he pulled himself to the edge of the bed. Every muscle screamed against him, but his mind refused to rest. Through the window, he could see flashes of light where the battle raged. He knew she was out there, and the thought of her fighting alone gnawed at him. He gritted his teeth, pulling the medical wires from his body. The medics tried to stop him, but he shoved them aside with sheer determination. His voice was hoarse but strong. "If she's out there risking everything, then so am I." He stumbled into the corridor, grabbing a rifle from a fallen rack. His body shook, but his eyes burned with resolve. The bond between them tugged at his chest, a strange pull that was more than duty. It was as though their lives now moved in rhythm, each heartbeat tied to the other. On the battlefield, the alien girl turned as if sensing him. For a moment, her blade stilled, her golden eyes locking on the smoke-filled passage where he appeared. Despite his injuries, he stood ready, weapon raised, defiance in every line of his stance. Their gazes met across the chaos, unspoken words passing between them. She had saved him. He had saved her. And now, together, they would face whatever came next. The battle raged like a storm, but when the soldier stepped onto the front line, everything shifted. His body was weak, still aching from the wound that nearly killed him, yet his spirit burned brighter than ever. The alien girl's golden eyes widened as she saw him, but she did not shout at him to return. She understood. The bond between them was pulling him forward, and nothing would stop him now. Together they moved into the fray. Her blade glowed with alien energy, cutting through enemy armor as if it were paper. His rifle barked in rhythm, each shot precise, each movement guided by instinct sharpened through training and courage. The soldiers around them, once doubtful, now followed their lead with renewed fire. Where the two of them fought, the enemy faltered. An enemy trooper charged with a heavy weapon, its barrel heating as it prepared to unleash destruction. The soldier raised his rifle, but before he could fire, the alien girl was already there. Her blade sliced the weapon in half, sparks raining like fireflies. The soldier finished the enemy with a clean shot, their movements blending into one seamless strike. It was as though they had trained together for years. Every step she took, he matched. Every shot he fired, she followed with her blade. It wasn't strategy, it was connection. Two warriors from different worlds moving as one. The humans watching could hardly believe their eyes. Whispers spread through the squad, carried on adrenaline-filled breaths. Did you see that? They're unstoppable. He shouldn't even be alive. But look at him. Hope grew where fear had once lived, and with it came strength. The enemy pressed harder, unwilling to give ground. Explosions rocked the hallway and more troopers poured through the breach. The squad tightened their formation, but still the numbers threatened to overwhelm them. The commander's voice crackled over the comms. "Hold the line. If we lose Section 4, we lose the station." The alien girl's voice cut through the chaos. "Then we will not lose." Her words carried such conviction that even the humans felt their spirits lift. She glanced at the soldier, and for a moment the war around them seemed to vanish. "Fight with me," she said. He nodded, his jaw set. "Always." Together, they launched forward. He provided cover fire, his shots cutting down enemies trying to flank them. She dashed into the thick of the fight, her blade flashing like a streak of light. When one of them stumbled, the other was there to cover. When one struck, the other finished the blow. Their movements were not just battle. They were a promise written in fire and blood. But the enemy noticed. Among the dark shapes, a larger figure emerged. An enemy commander in heavier armor stepped into the smoke, wielding a massive energy hammer. His presence alone made the battlefield tremble. He roared, the sound shaking the corridor, and charged directly at them. The soldier raised his weapon, but the commander's shield deflected the shots. The alien girl leapt forward, her blade clashing against the hammer. Sparks and light exploded at the impact, the shockwave rattling the walls. She staggered back, the force nearly overwhelming her. The soldier didn't hesitate. He ran to her, sighed, firing at weak points in the enemy's armor, forcing the commander to turn his attention. The alien girl steadied herself, her eyes blazing. She moved in again, faster this time, striking where the soldier's fire had opened gaps. The fight was brutal, every swing of the hammer threatening to crush them both, but they moved as one, their bond stronger than the commander's might. Finally, with a shout, the soldier unleashed a burst of fire at the enemy's chest. The girl seized the opening, driving her blade deep into the commander's core. The giant staggered, armor sparking, then fell with a crash that shook the floor. For a moment, silence filled the corridor. Then the humans erupted in cheers. The enemy, seeing their leader fall, began to retreat, dragged back into the shadows of smoke and flame. The soldier collapsed to one knee, breath ragged, but still alive. The alien girl knelt beside him, steadying him with a hand on his shoulder. Her golden eyes softened. "You should not have fought with that wound." He gave a tired smile. "You weren't going to fight alone, not while I'm still breathing." For the first time, she allowed herself a small smile in return. The battlefield was theirs, for now. But both of them knew this was only the beginning. The real war was still waiting. The battlefield had gone quiet, but the silence was heavy, filled with the smell of smoke and burned metal. The corridor was littered with fallen enemies and shattered walls, the floor still glowing faintly from blasts. Human soldiers moved carefully, checking the wounded, collecting weapons, and reinforcing their position. For the first time in hours, they felt a fragile sense of victory. At the center of it all stood the soldier and the alien girl. Their clothes and armor were scarred, their bodies tired, yet they remained steady. Around them, whispers spread among the humans. Some looked at them with awe, others with uncertainty, but none could deny what they had seen. Together, the two had stopped a force that should have broken them. The commander arrived, his face drawn with exhaustion, but his voice steady. "You bought us time. Without the two of you, Section 4 would have fallen." He looked at the dumb alien girl, his expression unreadable. I don't know what to make of you, but today, you fought for us. The girl bowed her head slightly. I did not fight for all of you, she admitted softly. Her gaze shifted toward the soldier, who leaned against the wall to steady himself. I fought because he chose me first. The word sent another ripple through the squad. Some frowned, others nodded quietly. The commander did not argue. He simply gave a curt nod. Then maybe that's enough. The soldier wanted to speak, but his strength faltered. The medic rushed forward, pressing him back onto a stretcher. He tried to resist, but his body trembled with fatigue. The alien girl moved closer, placing a hand on his arm. Rest, she said firmly. I will not leave you. As they carried him back toward the medical bay, the bond between them seemed visible, like an unspoken thread connecting their every step. Even the most doubtful soldiers could see it now. Something had changed between human and alien. Something no weapon or order could undo. Later, as the soldier lay recovering, he opened his eyes to find her still at his side. She had not left, not even for a moment. Her armor was removed now, revealing simpler garments beneath, and for the first time, she looked less like a warrior and more like a person. You're stubborn, he murmured, his voice weak but touched, with a faint smile. And you are reckless, she replied, though her tone carried warmth. She studied him carefully, as if memorizing his every feature. I have fought in many battles. I have seen warriors rise and fall, but none have chosen as you did. Why? He hesitated, then spoke honestly. Because you mattered in that moment. I couldn't explain it then, and I can't explain it now. I just knew I had to protect you. Her eyes softened, glowing faintly in the dim light. On my world, when one gives their life for another, it is more than duty. It is the beginning of a bond that cannot be broken. By saving me, you have tied yourself to my people in ways you do not yet understand. He blinked at her, unsure what to say. The weight of her words was heavier than he expected, but not unwelcome. Then I guess I'll just have to understand it one step at a time. She almost smiled, but her expression grew serious again. The enemy will not stop, they will come again stronger. And when they learn what we have done here, they will see us as a greater threat. He shifted, ignoring the ache in his chest. Then let them come. As long as you're here, I'll fight. For the first time, she allowed herself to laugh softly. It was a sound rare and beautiful, almost like music. You are either the bravest or the most foolish human I have ever met. Maybe both, he said with a grin, though his body winced from the movement. Her gaze lingered on him for a long moment, and then she spoke with quiet certainty. Whatever happens next, we face it together. The station trembled again as distant explosions echoed through the walls. The war was far from over, but within that small room, a new strength had been born. The soldier and the alien girl were no longer just survivors. They were a symbol of something greater, and outside those walls, both friend and foe were beginning to take notice. Whispers spread quickly through the station. Soldiers carried stories faster than official reports, and soon everyone knew what had happened in Section 4. They spoke of the human soldier who should have died, and the alien girl who had brought him back with a power no human had ever seen. They spoke of how the two fought together, striking like one force, turning the tide where defeat had seemed certain. To some it was a miracle. To others it was a warning. Not everyone was ready to believe in the bond between them. Some feared it, whispering that she had bound the soldier against his will. Others claimed she was manipulating him, using his sacrifice to gain influence over the humans. But none of those doubts mattered to the soldier himself. He was still recovering, his strength slowly returning, yet his thoughts were always on her. She visited him every day, sometimes in silence, sometimes in conversation, always keeping watch. When alarms sounded, she left to fight, but she always returned to his side. One evening, as the lights dimmed to mimic night, he sat up slowly, pushing past the ache in his chest. She was there, sitting near the window, her golden eyes reflecting. The stars outside, they don't trust you, he said quietly. She turned, her gaze steady. They don't need to trust me. They only need to trust what I do." He studied her, the weight of her words sinking in. "But what about your people? Won't they see you as a traitor for standing with us?" For the first time, her expression faltered. She looked away, her voice softer. "They already do. To them, I am lost. But maybe I was meant to be. Perhaps my path was always here." Her honesty struck him. She had given up everything, her home, her people, her safety, because she believed there was something worth protecting in humanity. And he realized then that his choice in that corridor had not just saved her life. It had given her a new one. Before he could respond, the doors hissed open. The commander entered with 2 officers, their faces serious. They looked at the soldier, then at the alien girl. "The council wants answers," the commander said firmly. "They've heard the stories. They want to know exactly what happened between you two, and they want to know why she's still here." The girl stood, her posture straight, her presence commanding. "Because without me you will fall. Your enemies fear me. That is why they send their strongest when I am near. And if you cast me aside, you will lose the only chance you have to stand against them." The commander's eyes narrowed, but he did not argue. He looked at the soldier. "And you? Do you trust her?" The room grew quiet. The soldier's body still ached, but his voice was steady. "I don't just trust her. I owe her my life. She saved me when no one else could. And when I fight beside her, I know we can win." The officers exchanged uneasy glances, but the commander gave a slow nod. "Then so be it. The council will hear your words." After they left, the soldier leaned back, exhaling slowly. The alien girl approached, her eyes unreadable. "You risked yourself again, this time with words. Why?" He smiled faintly. "Because it's the truth. And sometimes the truth is the only weapon we have." She looked at him for a long moment, then sat beside him once more. Her voice dropped, barely above a whisper. "Your people may doubt me. My people may hate me. But here, with you, I feel something I have never known. A place where I belong." The soldier's chest tightened, not from pain but from something deeper. He reached for her hand, and this time she did not pull away. Outside the station, enemy fleets gathered in the darkness of space, their weapons glowing faintly like distant stars. The war was far from finished. But inside that room, a bond stronger than fear, stronger than distrust, was taking root, and soon, the galaxy would feel its power. The council chamber was a wide, circular room with tall metal pillars and glowing lights that cast sharp shadows across the floor. Human leaders sat in heavy chairs, their faces hard and watchful. Soldiers lined the walls, their rifles close at hand. In the center stood the soldier and the alien girl, side by side, their presence drawing every eye in the room. The commander stepped forward to begin. "You all know why we are here. This war has pushed us to the edge. We have bled, we have lost, but we have not broken. And now we face a choice. This girl," he gestured toward her, "claims to fight with us. She saved one of our own. But many here still ask, can she truly be trusted?" Murmurs filled the chamber. Some council members looked at her with suspicion, others with cautious curiosity. The alien girl remained calm, her golden eyes fixed on the crowd. She did not shrink beneath their stares. One of the counselors, an older man with sharp eyes, leaned forward. "You carry power we do not understand. You healed a human with it. You fight like no soldier we have. Tell us, what is your real purpose here?" Her voice was steady. "My purpose is survival. Not only for me, but for your kind as well. The enemy you fight now is not only your enemy, it is mine. They have destroyed my world, hunted my people, and turned their weapons on anyone who resists. If you fall, I fall with you. And if we fight, together we may yet endure." The soldier spoke next, his voice quiet but clear. "I stood on that battlefield with her. I took a bullet meant for her, and I saw her fight for us with everything she had. I don't need words from her to know the truth. I've already seen it." The chamber grew tense. Some nodded in agreement, others scowled. Finally, the head of the council raised his hand for silence. Words are not enough. Trust is earned through action. If you are what you claim, then prove it. The alien girl tilted her head slightly. And how do you wish me to prove it? The head counselor's voice was firm. There is an enemy supply ship anchored in orbit near the outer belt. It is heavily guarded, but destroying it would cripple their advance. If you and the soldiers succeed in this mission, then perhaps you are worthy of trust. Fail, and the galaxy will know exactly where you stand. The soldier felt the weight of the order. His body was still healing, but his heart burned with determination. He glanced at her. If you go, I go. She met his gaze, her expression unreadable for a moment before softening. Then we go together. The council gave no further words of blessing, only silence. Soldiers escorted them out, and soon they found themselves back in the hangar, where ships waited like restless beasts. Engineers prepared weapons, fueling engines, while squads moved about with grim focus. The alien girl approached a sleek dropship, its hull scarred from past battles. She placed a hand on the metal, whispering something in her own language. The soldier watched, curiosity flickering in his tired eyes. What did you say? He asked. I asked for strength. She replied softly. Machines listen, if you know how to speak to them. When they boarded, the ship hummed to life, the engines glowing faintly. The soldier strapped in, his rifle across his lap, his chest heavy with the weight of what was to come. She sat beside him, her blade resting near her hand, her eyes fixed on the stars outside. The pilot's voice crackled through the comm. We're approaching the outer belt, enemy patrols everywhere, no turning back now. The soldier tightened his grip on his weapon. He looked at her, and for a moment the fear eased. We'll get through this, we always do. She nodded, her voice calm but fierce. Together. The ship cut through the dark void, stars streaking past. Ahead, the enemy supply vessel loomed, like a beast waiting in silence. Weapons shimmered along its hull, guarding the treasure within. The mission was about to begin, and with it, the test that would decide not only their fate, but the future of trust between human and alien. The dropship slipped through the shadows of the outer belt, weaving between drifting rocks and shattered fragments of old battles. Ahead, the enemy supply vessel loomed like a dark fortress, its massive hull glowing faintly with power lines that pulsed like veins. Squadrons of fighters circled it, watchful eyes in the void. Inside the dropship, silence pressed down on the soldier and the alien girl. He checked his rifle one more time, though he knew it was ready. She sat still, her golden eyes fixed on the looming ship, her blade resting across her knees. Their bond hummed like a quiet current between them, steadying both their hearts. The pilot's voice came through the comm, tense. We can't get any closer without being detected. This is your stop, good luck, you'll need it. The soldier and the girl exchanged a glance, then stood together. The hatch hissed open, and the cold emptiness of space stretched before them. With a single step, they launched into the void, their suits carrying them toward the enemy vessel. Stars spun around them, but their focus never wavered. They landed on the outer hull, magnets in their boots locking them in place. The soldier pulled a device from his pack and placed it against the metal. Sparks flickered and a small hatch opened, just wide enough for them to slip inside. The corridors of the ship were dim, lit by harsh red lights. Shadows stretched along the walls, and the distant sound of engines rumbled through the floor. Every corner was a risk, every step a chance for discovery. The soldier's rifle was steady in his hands, and the girl's blade glowed faintly, casting a soft light around them. They moved as one, silent and precise. Twice they avoided patrols, pressing into dark alcoves until the enemy soldiers passed. The bond between them made words unnecessary. He could sense her movement before she made it, and she seemed to know his choices before he acted. Finally, they reached the heart of the ship. The supply core pulsed in the center of a wide chamber, containers of energy cells stacked high around it. Guarding the room were heavily armed troops, their armor thicker, their weapons heavier. The soldier exhaled slowly. No sneaking past this. The alien girl's eyes glowed brighter. Then we do what we always do. Together. They struck like a storm. The soldier's rifle roared, cutting down enemies with precise bursts. The alien girl darted among them, her blade slicing through armor, sparks flying with each strike. Blasts lit the chamber, shadows dancing wildly as enemies fell. But the enemy commander was ready. A tall figure in crimson armor stepped forward, wielding a heavy staff that crackled with energy. He swung it in a wide arc, slamming it against the floor. A shockwave surged out, throwing the soldier across the room. He hit the wall hard, his breath ripped from his lungs. The alien girl faced the commander alone, their weapons clashing in a blur of light and sparks. She fought fiercely, but the staff was powerful, each strike shaking her arms, each blow threatening to break her defense. The soldier forced himself to his feet, pain screaming through his body. His vision blurred, but he saw her falter. Her blade knocked aside, the commander raising his weapon for the final strike. Without hesitation, the soldier charged. His rifle was gone, so he grabbed a fallen blade, its weight heavy but solid in his grip. With every ounce of strength left in him, he swung at the commander, the blade cutting deep into the armor's weak point. The commander roared, staggering back. The alien girl seized the opening, driving her glowing blade through the enemy's chest. Light flared, and the commander collapsed, his weapon clattering across the floor. Breathing hard, the soldier dropped to one knee. His strength was nearly gone, his wound reopening. She rushed to him, kneeling at his side, her hand pressing against his chest. Her golden eyes burned with emotion. "Why do you always throw yourself into danger for me?" He gave a weak grin, his voice rough. "Because I promised myself you wouldn't fall while I'm still standing." Her hand trembled, not from weakness but from the weight of what she felt. "Then I promise the same. You will not fall while I am here." Together, they set the charges on the supply core. The countdown began, the lights flashing urgently. With the last of their strength, they ran through the corridors, alarms blaring, the ship shaking as explosions ripped through it. They leapt into the void just as the vessel burst apart, flames and debris scattering across the stars. Their suits carried them back toward the dropship waiting in the distance, the light of destruction behind them. The mission was complete, but the bond between them was now deeper than either of them had imagined. The stars still burned with the glow of the explosion. From the station's windows, soldiers and civilians alike watched as the enemy supply vessel broke apart, its remains scattering into the void like shattered glass. For the first time in months, humanity had struck a decisive blow. The cheers inside the station were loud and raw, but in the hangar, silence hung heavy. The dropship landed with a hiss of steam. The hatch opened, and two figures stepped out, scarred, battered, but alive. The soldier leaned heavily on his rifle for support, his uniform stained with blood and soot. The alien girl walked beside him, her blade sheathed, her golden eyes steady, though her armor bore fresh cracks from the battle. All eyes turned to them. Some faces showed awe, others suspicion, but none could deny what they had done. The mission had been thought impossible, yet they had returned victorious. The commander was the first to step forward. His voice carried the weight of both relief and disbelief. "You destroyed their supply ship. You've bought us time, more than we hoped for." His gaze shifted to the alien girl. "And you've proven yourself. No one here can deny it." Whispers spread through the crowd, this time less filled with doubt. Soldiers saluted, some hesitantly, others with respect. The alien girl inclined, her head but her focus was on the soldier beside her. His strength was fading fast, his wound tearing open again from the fight. She caught his arm, steadying him. The medics rushed forward, but he shook his head weakly. "I'm fine, just tired." "No," she said firmly, her voice low but commanding. "You are not fine, but you are alive. And that is enough." She guided him carefully toward the medical bay, refusing to let go even for a moment. Later, as he lay once more beneath the glow of the machines, the council gathered again. This time, their tone was different. The head counselor's voice was grave yet respectful. "You risked everything on this mission, and you succeeded. Humanity owes you both." The soldier, pale but awake, met their gaze. "Don't owe me. Just remember she stood with us when no one else would. The alien girl's eyes flickered with surprise at his words, though she said nothing. The council exchanged glances, then nodded. So be it. From this day you are not an outsider. You are an ally of humanity. The words were simple, but they carried weight. For the first time she was not seen as a threat, but as one of them. When the council left, the alien girl sat quietly beside the soldier's bed. Her golden eyes shimmered in the dim light. For a long moment she said nothing. Then, softly, she spoke. You gave me more than your life. You gave me a place I never thought I would find. He turned his head, exhaustion heavy in his voice. And you gave me more than I deserved, a second chance, and a reason to fight. Her hand found his, warm and steady. Our bond is no longer just survival. It is choice, and it is ours. Silence settled between them, but it was no longer heavy. It was peace, the kind found only after fire and storm. Outside, the galaxy still burned with war. Enemy fleets regrouped, new battles loomed, and danger waited in every corner of the stars. But something had shifted. Humanity was no longer fighting, alone, and the enemy no longer faced a fractured force. One human and one alien had proven that trust could be forged in the heart of battle, that loyalty could cross even the deepest divides. Their bond was fragile yet unbreakable, born from sacrifice and sealed in fire. And as the soldier drifted into sleep, the alien girl kept her silent watch, her promise unspoken, but clear. Whatever the war demanded, whatever trials awaited, they would face them together. Because sometimes a single act of courage, one bullet taken for another, was enough to change the fate of worlds.